400 children do live in this area, and they actually went back to school about 3 weeks ago. Now, when I was speaking with residents in the area, they were telling me that they are pushing through, but it's mainly because of the volunteers. Now, 5 months to the day after Ian, it was announced the Home Depot Foundation and TD Bank collectively donated $300,000 in additional funding for recovery efforts. Rebuilding Together is the organization that has been helping residents here rebuild. 3,000 volunteers showed up and helped out this community since cleanup efforts began. Now, the senior director of Rebuilding Together says the donations will help the organization make good on its promise. And Mayor Kevin Anderson was also in attendance and says Ian knocked the community down, but by no means did it knock us out.
This community is so resilient, so strong. We started bouncing back at the crack of dawn the next morning, and we have not stopped, and we will not stop until we are whole again.
Mayor Kevin Anderson added that this community is resilient and that the main reason why these rebuilding efforts is happening is because of the community. Now, coming up tonight at 6, we will hear from the homeowner of this home as he explains how he is benefiting from this program. Live from Harlem Heights, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
All right, Bree, thanks for that update. Well, tonight we're also continuing to follow the progress of the Sunseeker Resort in Charlotte County. And this is a big resort. This property has 22 acres, more than 780 rooms, multiple pools, and dozens of restaurants.
And this property sustained millions of dollars worth of damage due to Hurricane Ian, but is now on track to open in less than 9 months. So let's get right to Fox 4's Elise Chingari. As Elise, there was a Charlotte County Board of County Commissioners regular and land use meeting, which went into full detail about what we can all expect from this property.
Good evening. I'm standing right in front of the Sunseeker Resort. Now, today's county meeting, it answered a lot of you, the community's questions that you had. Now, one of the questions when I've even been around here, trying to talk to people about the progress and their thoughts, they want to know if this will be home to a casino. And we can tell you that the president of Sunseeker Resort says no, it will not be. I think that's been a question because some of the partners involved with this project are some big names like MGM, Aria, Bellagio there in Vegas. But tonight we can confirm there will not be a casino here. Now let's get you right to more updates of the progress that we know so far. The property will be home to 20 different food and beverage concepts, as there will be 25,000 square feet of a food hall, 8 retail outlets, multiple pools, golf course access to those staying at the resort. Now today I spoke with Sean Doherty. He is the director for Charlotte County Tourism. He tells me the goal is to not just bring in thousands of people to stay here at the resort, but for people to also experience all of the area here.
It's them going over to Fisherman's Village and taking a sunset cruise on Kingfisher Fleet, or going down to the botanical gardens right down the road, or to the military museum. It really will give them that well-rounded experience of what our destination has to offer.
So what about jobs? That was another big topic today. This will be home to 1,300 jobs. 1,000 full-time employees and 300 part-time employees. The perks: highly competitive market wages, health benefits, 401ks. The president of Sunseeker Resorts says he also wants to point out this is a resort from Allegiant Travel Companies, their first resort. Now, it was said in today's meeting that employees here at the resort will be able to fly for free with Allegiant anywhere that Allegiant flies. So, that makes you want to probably work here. Now, tonight coming up here on Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be talking about the massive amounts of tourism that's expected to come here. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. 35,000 nights are already booked for this resort that's not even open yet. That's coming up here on Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock. Live here in Charlotte County, Elise Chingari, Fox 4.
Yeah, that's great to hear for tourism, Elise, because look at what we are seeing in the peak season here in Southwest Florida after seeing an increase in the amount of dead fish all along Fort Myers Beach. Town leaders now tell Fox 4 they are using heavier equipment to clean it up. We have been told that the cleanups are happening every day since the last week. They're happening today as well. And officials did receive approval to use the equipment yesterday. So they officially started using the equipment to scoop up all of this dead fish. Last week, the Lee County Health Department reported that the Gulf waters around Lynn Hall Memorial Park near Times Square there had an alert level of red tide. And we are seeing this all up and down the coast in Southwest Florida, as you're getting a live look now from the Tarpon Lodge Inn here in Bokeelia as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls, who's really been tracking the red tide for us, Katie.
That's right. And Nadine, there on the Pine Island Sound, unfortunately, we do still have those higher concentrations detected in some of our data samples. And you know, it's all about the wind. Anytime we have an onshore wind as we have today, we'll continue to see these dead fish move onshore because, unfortunately, the red tide is offshore. And we can't necessarily see it, but we can certainly see its effects and sometimes even feel its effects. You might have itchy, watery eyes or some lung irritation, so keep that in mind. Now, if you are heading off to the beach, tomorrow morning will be your best time frame. That's when those winds will be light and even a bit offshore. But as we step into the afternoon, that's when those concentrations will be stepping up as well. That's when those winds will start to blow onshore around 15 miles per hour and continuing into the evening as well. So that's going to be our biggest concern. Notice that potential, especially in the alert range for the afternoon, continuing into the evening, stretching for coastal Sarasota, coastal Lee County, and unfortunately coastal Collier as well. So of course, we're taking a close eye on that. We're keeping a close eye on that, but also our dry conditions that continue to get worse. We'll dive deeper into just how dry it has been in February coming up.
The Lee County Sheriff announced today an operation bringing down 50 suspected drug traffickers. It's called Operation Curbside Crackdown. It started last month. The Lee County Narcotics Unit, with the help of other teams, worked to identify the suspects. Since this past Friday, they say they've made 50 arrests. In total, deputies seized 8 grams of cocaine, 49 grams of crack cocaine, 620 grams of meth, and 497 grams of fentanyl. Guns, of course, and $390,000 worth of cash.
These dealers are the trash responsible for placing poison directly in the hands of others. These dealers were identified through intelligence and amazing detective work and tips from our community.
And the sheriff says you can expect more arrests to come.
Well, a newly released arrest affidavit is now detailing the moments an Orlando man shot 5 people and killing 3 in a shooting rampage last week. Take a look. According to the affidavit, Keith Moses was sitting behind his first victim, Natasha Augustine, in the car when he pulled out a gun and shot her. He then ran away. Later, deputies spoke to Spectrum News 13's photographer Jesse Walden here at the hospital. He told him reporter Dylan Lyons, as you see here, that they were getting ready for a live report when a man started shooting at them. As deputies were on the way to that scene, they then got another 911 call about another shooting, saying that her 9-year-old daughter, Tiana Major, here was shot inside their home. Augustine, Lyons, and that 9-year-old all died. Also, a man is dead after crashing into the back of a tanker truck. Florida Highway Patrol says this happened last night, just after 11 o'clock on Daniels Parkway and Fiddlesticks Boulevard. Troopers say a 36-year-old Fort Myers man was driving an SUV when it hit an empty fuel tanker truck stopped on Daniels Parkway. The driver of the SUV was taken to the hospital where he later died. That truck driver was not hurt, thankfully, in that crash.
Well, Fox 4 is following through for you. That is our commitment to you. And after multiple emails and phone calls to the Florida Department of Health, even contacting the governor's office, we have finally received a response as we look for answers for you.
So this push comes after the CDC confirmed a person in Charlotte County died from a rare amoeba last week, and they were possibly infected from doing a sinus rinse with tap water.
Right, and both the county and the DOH still won't answer this question. Is the tap water safe? The communications director for the Department of Health would only say this is an ongoing investigation and encourage Fox 4 to stay tuned for updates. Experts previously told our station the amoeba can be killed with chlorine, which is already put into the water. Now, to be clear, the county has not stated where the amoeba came from and if it is in the water, but we are going to stay on top of the story for you and bring you any further developments. But still to come right now on Fox 4 News at 5.
We're going back to resiliency at its finest 5 months after Hurricane Ian. Checking in with restaurants on Fort Myers Beach who have struggled to reopen, but are doing it despite all of the odds.
And a huge sign of progress on Sanibel Island as the city officially relights the lighthouse.
We'd love to see it.
We are taking you to that celebration with Fox 4's Lauren Petrelli next. Katie?
And heading out this evening, mostly clear skies. Temperatures running in the mid-70s, dropping into the lower 70s by 9 and 10 o'clock. Overall, looking picture perfect. The question is how the start of March will shape up. We'll talk about that next.
Well, today not only marking 5 months since Hurricane Ian made landfall, but also a milestone on Sanibel. Early this morning, the city officially relit its lighthouse.
Yeah, there is a reason why this is our new beacon of hope behind us, and it was just so incredible to see. Fox 4's Lauren Petrelli was there as people from all across Southwest Florida gathered to watch this moment.
3, 2, 1. In just seconds, some hope was restored to Southwest Florida early Tuesday morning as the Sanibel Lighthouse was turned back on.
We've been here for 23 years. We have a business on the island that got devastated. So this is a real shine of hope.
That light now shining not just for the people of Sanibel, but everyone impacted by Hurricane Ian. Almost every person in the crowd had a story about loss and recovery due to the storm. Many families,
and my family's been on the island 100 years.
like Ty Simrosky,
And I've used this light many times as I've been out on the water.
have a legacy almost as strong as the lighthouse itself, which has been operational on the island since 1884.
And we're all a very optimistic bunch, and we're going to come through this, and we're all in various stages of recovery, just as the lighthouse is.
A process that is continuing for the people of Sanibel and the lighthouse as well. As Mayor Holly Smith explains, one of the legs still needs to be repaired.
You know, a leg is broken, but that just means it can mend just like everything else.
And while the lighthouse isn't completely fixed, she and other city leaders saw the importance of celebrating this milestone together as a community.
And it, you know, gives you a sense of strength, because when you look to different objects, but they give you a hope, a drive, it really is talking about the hope and drive of the community.
And it still looks so gorgeous with that sunrise this morning. So this area around the lighthouse is still closed to the public. City leaders did open it up just for a few hours this morning so people could come out and come together for this incredible milestone.
But we know a lot of you are like us and we're ready to get out there.
I'm ready.
So as soon as it reopens, we'll keep you updated, of course, on air and online as well. But right now, we want to give you a live look overlooking the Caloosahatchee. We're taking you from Sanibel to Fort Myers on this beautiful evening as we bring in Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls, because one thing I don't see, Nadine, is any rain out there.
Yeah, and Katie, we're wrapping up February, and you are saying this is the driest February in decades for us here.
That's right. So here in Fort Myers specifically, we received all of 7 hundredths the entire month. That makes it the fifth driest February on record going back to 1892. Naples ending up with nothing in the rain gauge the entire month. Obviously, that is quite rare. Normally, we pick up at least 1.36 inches. Now, yes, typically, February is a dry month, but this was a whole different level of exceptionally dry. So notice we are in deficit, obviously, not just in February, but going back to January 1st in Naples, driest February going back to 1949. As for when we could possibly see our next chance for a couple of spotty showers, look ahead to Saturday. 20% chance, 10% chance for a sprinkle on Sunday, but overall, obviously probabilities like this won't exactly help our drought conditions that are getting worse by the day. Excessively hot temperatures, exceptionally dry conditions, really causing quite the concern here, especially when it comes to the fire risk. I won't be surprised if we start to see some locations issue burn bans here in the days and weeks ahead, because we are now officially critically dry across Collier County. This definitely getting worse day by day. Also now critically dry across Hendry into Lee. And this particular type of drought index measures the amount of moisture in the top 8 inches of the ground. That, of course, being the amount of soil and all of the debris that could possibly burn. So that's what we're specifically looking at, just how dry the top layers are. Up in Glades County, very dry, and now notice drying out across Charlotte, DeSoto, and Sarasota as well. Of course, temperatures like this will continue to dry things out at a faster pace. So instead of being anywhere close to 80 degrees, we'll be running in the mid to upper 80s as we head through our 7-day forecast. This despite a little front coming through over the weekend. It will obviously be quite weak in nature. That's what could bring us a couple of sprinkles Saturday into Sunday, but otherwise that's about it. Tranquil weather continuing as high pressure maintains control. Fog, areas of haze to kick off tomorrow morning, otherwise tons of sunshine. Be sure to have plenty of water on hand for the afternoon. It's going to be another hot one, heading into the mid to upper 80s in some cases. And for your Thursday, same story. Lots of sunshine expected as we push ahead to the afternoon. So overnight tonight, areas of patchy fog developing after 1 a.m. Otherwise, mostly clear skies expected. We'll drop down towards 65 degrees in Fort Myers, a little cooler farther inland. Immokalee, LaBelle will start things off around 60 or so. Arcadia could drop down to 59 degrees. As for those high temperatures, we'll head toward 86. Winds out of the west in the afternoon, 10 to 15 miles per hour. So around 86 in Fort Myers, harder farther inland. 93 a possibility for Immokalee. Mid-80s expected for Naples up to Punta Gorda. 7-day forecast. Notice very similar mid to upper 80s forecast into the weekend. Again, just that 20% rain chance arriving Saturday and Sunday.
The future of student loan forgiveness, and if it happens or not, is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. The justices heard arguments today with the conservative justices who hold the court's majority questioning the government's authority to give that forgiveness.
The Department of Education is coming into a very conservative court that has already struck down the COVID vaccination policy, that has already struck down the eviction moratorium as well. So there's a real question here whether or not that this Department of Education is using this appropriately, or whether or not the Supreme Court is going to side with them.
The Biden administration says a 2003 law known as the HEROES Act lets the Secretary of Education waive or modify the terms of federal student loans in connection with a national emergency, and that without the forgiveness, loan defaults would dramatically increase when the pause on payments is lifted. The other states that have sued say the forgiveness is not needed to keep the rate of defaults around where it was before the pandemic. The Biden administration says 26 million people have applied to have up to $20,000 in federal student loans forgiven under the plan. Today, Chief Justice John Roberts also questioned the cost of that forgiveness. It is estimated at $400 billion over 30 years. Many of us are already looking ahead to a possible summer vacation, but the cost crunch of inflation is continuing if you are thinking about flying. Tracking by NerdWallet shows airfare prices were up more than 25% in January compared to January 2022. We're also still not back to the prices that we were seeing right before the pandemic.
Travel is back. People are trying to make up for those past few years of no travel. And so, of course, expect to pay more than you did, like pretty much all items than you did pre-pandemic.
Airfare is up 4% compared to before the pandemic. So here's the bottom line if you are trying to find a deal on summer travel.
The idea of a last-minute airfare deal is really hard to come by. You know, there's often last-minute deals for things like hotels, but we just don't really see that with airlines. There are, a lot of people who say, the best time to book is exactly on this day of the week. And a lot of that isn't really always true. It depends on so many different circumstances.
She says that you want to start tracking summer flight prices even if you're not buying right away. Travel experts say generally you get the best deals 3 months in advance.
Often the biggest cost of travel is not just the airline, it's all the things that go with it, like the checked bag fees, people who want to pay for the seat selection so they can board early and put their bag in the overhead bin. And what is encouraging is that we're increasingly seeing more credit card benefits that allow you to get these things for free.
And get ready for the crowds. Airline industry groups are expecting demand to recover to what we saw before the pandemic on most routes this year. The majority of people who study what's in the ocean are white. A group of black researchers is now trying to change that.
started talking about our experiences and our stories, and we realized that we've gone through a lot of the same struggles and faced the same obstacles.
How they're working to draw more kids of color into all science fields.
And up ahead here on Fox 4 News at 5.
So he hasn't announced a bid for presidency, but some say this is a step in that direction. Coming up, a look at Governor Ron DeSantis' new book. Katie.
And turning to our weather as we head to the bus stop tomorrow morning. Temperatures running in the mid-60s. We'll head into the mid-80s as we head home. And notice lots of sunshine for now. We'll take a look at when we could see a couple of spotty showers in that 7-day forecast next.
The journey to recovery through our community continues for businesses on Fort Myers Beach working to rebuild after Ian. We are talking to one restaurant owner who is finally reopening despite hurdle after hurdle.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 5.
And business owners on Fort Myers Beach are rolling with the punches when it comes to reopening exactly 5 months after Hurricane Ian. And for some, it seems like one punch is coming after the other. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Nadine Yanis.
And I'm Shari Armstrong. Tonight, the La Ola Surfside restaurant, who rebuilt their business, get this, using shipping containers, tells Fox 4 Colton Chavez how they literally rolled their business towards reopening. So we want to take you live to Colton, who's down at Times Square on Fort Myers Beach. And Colton, on Fox 4 Morning News, we watched as those shipping containers were placed on that trailer right behind you.
Yeah, that's right. We watched it unfold for us from the morning to now, and this is exactly what we're looking at. We have all of these people, Shari, Nadine, gathered outside La Ola for this exact event. To see that trailer that you see behind me, that's the one that was up on those cranes, and the trailer is going to be underneath it. And the reason for that, as the owner tells me, is because it's a FEMA flood regulation. They say if you're going to be in a flood zone, which we're in right now, you have to be mobile. So that's what this whole thing was about. Now, workers earlier today were hustling around adding different additions like a staircase and deck railings so people can get into the shipping container that you saw behind me. Now, owner Tom Houghton, he said he first got the okay from beach leaders to bring these shipping containers, get this, all the way down from Oklahoma. Now, once he got them down here, though, Houghton said he quickly realized that he had to make his containers mobile after actually being cited by the Fort Myers Beach government for operating in that FEMA flood zone. Now, Houghton said he had to prove his business could be moved in the case of an evacuation. Now, those are adjustments that Houghton tells me are worth making.
There's definitely some attachment here. I love coming over that bridge every morning and coming to work every day. So the beach will always be home for us.
Houghton said the trailers as of right now are just temporary, but couldn't say for how long they would be used for. And having their shipping containers up and running is not only important for Houghton, but you can see the importance for the community of people that come down here to Fort Myers Beach. So coming up on Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock, you're going to hear from a couple of the people that are in attendance tonight that say they come every single year for La Ola. Live on Fort Myers Beach tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
Colton, thank you so much. And a reminder for those of you who live in parts of unincorporated Lee County, you have until tomorrow to place your Hurricane Ian debris on the curb. So take a look at your screen. The deadline for debris pickup for these areas is March 1st. Addresses along Estero Boulevard and Fort Myers Beach do have the same deadline. The county says residents can use regular curbside collection services after tomorrow's deadline. So far, Lee County has collected about 6 million cubic yards of debris.
Well, a new book on the shelves, out-of-state travel in key primary states, and a lawmaking session jam-packed with priorities. It sure does look like Florida's governor is getting ready for a presidential run, but this is a prospect he continues to dismiss when asked. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders breaks it all down for us from Tallahassee.
Tuesday was the latest indicator that a White House run for Governor Ron DeSantis is in the cards. He launched his new book, The Courage to Be Free, which he touts as a blueprint for other states to follow. Governor Ron DeSantis all over Fox News Tuesday morning.
The woke left states are failing and the freedom-focused states are succeeding.
Promoting this, The Courage to Be Free, Florida's blueprint for America's revival. It's a new book he penned and partly narrates.
People have clearly responded to our leadership in Florida.
But is it also a blueprint for a presidential bid? The governor remained vague about his future when asked.
We're going to do some stuff on the book, tell the story of Florida, and then deliver a lot of victories. And then once the dust settles from that, we can see where things lay.
The launch only furthers already sky-high anticipation that DeSantis is running once this year's legislative session concludes in May.
Florida is leading the nation.
And the book comes on top of this new ad from his political committee and reporting that he'll soon be traveling to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and perhaps other crucial primary states.
If the governor isn't positioning for a presidential run, I'm not sure what he's doing.
That's John Thomas, who created the first DeSantis presidential PAC, Ron to the Rescue, in hopes the governor will announce. Thomas now has 10 staffers on board and about $20 million in commitments if a run happens.
We fully anticipate that if and when he does get in this race, he will not only be a top contender, but he will be a front runner for the Republican nomination.
Democrats, meanwhile, denounced the governor for, they say, focusing on his future and not the state's, leaving Florida with an affordability crisis.
Miami now ranks as the least affordable housing market in the entire country. This is on Ron DeSantis.
The new chair of the state Democrats, Nikki Fried, vowed to revolutionize the party in coming months, targeting DeSantis and fellow Republicans. That's after Dems suffered stunning defeats in the midterms, not to mention Fried's own primary loss for governor.
What you will see now is a Democratic Party that is going to stand united to take on this fascist regime that is the Republican Party of Florida, and we will be successful.
Democrats seem to be ramping up as the governor is perhaps saddling up for the White House. DeSantis' announcement would, of course, pit him against former President Donald Trump in the race for the GOP presidential nomination. Trump's campaign out with a statement on Tuesday saying, quote, Fox is working overtime for DeSantis, but they are failing. Look at the polls. We are mega. That is the latest out here at the Capitol. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
It'll sure be interesting to see how it all plays out for us. Thank you. Also today, St. Matthew's House, in partnership with the Harry Chapin and Midwest Food Banks, helped feed 430 families. But the giving does not stop there. Take a look. Tomorrow, St. Matthew's House is also hosting another food distribution. This one happening at Centerpoint Community Church in Naples. They'll be giving out food for families from 10:30 until 12:30. Chris?
A group of young black researchers is on a mission to diversify a field long dominated by white men. Chris Conti shows us the success that they're having.
When we're talking about marine biology, the study of what's out there in the ocean, a staggering 71% of marine biologists are white. But I met a group of women who are trying to change that. It is easy to be drawn in by the sound. Easier still to be lured to the shores by the glistening light across the horizon.
I mean, this is really clear water right here. We're very fortunate to have nice clear water.
What Jasmine Grand loves about the ocean is that beneath the surface, there is an entire world we still know very little about.
There's just so much life below the surface that if you sit there and stare at it long enough, just reveals itself to you. It's like unwrapping a gift.
It's what drew this 26-year-old to become a marine biologist from a young age. She spends most of her time studying sharks, but in her field, diversity is clearly just not there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of historical reasons for that.
What are the reasons why that exists?
Yeah, so a lot of it is access to the ocean, access to water in general.
We'll come back to that in a moment. First, though, you should know 71% of marine biologists are white. 10% are Asian, about 8% are Hispanic or Latino. Only 3% of those in the marine biology field are black. When it comes to gender, about 54% of those in the field are male, and just over 45% are female. So during the pandemic, Jasmine and a group of other black shark researchers founded Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS. Their goal is to diversify and draw kids of color into science fields.
And we started talking about our experiences and our stories, and we realized that we've gone through a lot of the same struggles and faced the same obstacles.
But to understand the reasons behind some of these disparities, you must look below the surface. An estimated 64% of black children can't swim, compared to 40% of white children. And, as Jasmine knows firsthand, access to the water can also be discriminatory.
My dad's side grew up 2 blocks away from the ocean, but they weren't allowed to go to it because that was the white beach. They had to drive 30 or 45 minutes away to go to the designated black beach.
Mrs. Mission is to provide mentors and internship opportunities to kids from diverse backgrounds. They help people get scuba certified, assist black students in college with publishing articles, and provide on-water workshops during school breaks.
Getting kids interested in science. All of our programs are free. All of our programs include transportation, because that's a big issue. Can you actually get to the ocean?
The group serves what they call K through Gray, giving anyone at any age assistance in getting into or furthering careers in marine biology. Jasmine's hope is to someday help set the sun on the status quo while opening the eyes of a new generation to the field she loves. Chris Conti, Scripps News, Sarasota, Florida.
Important stuff, Chris. Thank you. Still to come today.
Hearing kids say, like, oh my God, she looks like me when they're opening the box, best experience ever.
We're looking into the efforts to add diversity to more toys, particularly when it comes to hair. A high school diploma can be the difference in having the ability to provide for your family or not. I traveled to a place where the number of students who dropped out of high school last year increased to see a new unique way that they're getting help. Right now we're driving through rural Rifle, Colorado, which is a community in the western part of this state. For those who had to drop out of high school, they can face a lifetime of challenges when it comes to low wages and unemployment. And we're on our way to a college to talk to people there about a new push to help adults complete their high school education. First question, it's an easy one. Can you just say your first and last name so I have it correct? Carolina Caballero doesn't often have time to sit and chat like she did for us.
My work is really hard.
Right now? Every day she cleans 2 houses, many times by herself. She told me her job isn't her favorite, but since she moved to Western Colorado in 2006 from El Salvador and doesn't have a high school degree, it's the best way to provide for herself and her 2 children. What options are out there without the diploma?
Not much. It's really hard because you had to start a new life, new people, the language.
You may expect the road to the American dream to have hurdles, but for those like Carolina who don't have a high school diploma, they can be roadblocks. As the head of a college program that helps adults with their education, Dwenna Holden sees that firsthand.
The pandemic was particularly difficult for our rural mountain communities, especially historically marginalized communities. So our Hispanic communities, our Latino communities were especially hard hit.
Dwenna runs the adult education program at Colorado Mountain College, where Carolina is taking classes. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, people who didn't graduate high school make roughly $180 less a week than those who are in the workplace with just a high school diploma. Money that could be the difference in the ability to pay rent or buy food.
Many of my students had to go to work for their families and support their families, and that, you know, our traditional high school system isn't set up so that kids can have full-time jobs and work.
Dwenna told me there isn't much of a difference between the value of a GED and an official high school diploma, but there is when it comes to cost. The cost of an adult high school diploma course is $60 and takes 16 weeks, while a student needs to pass multiple tests to get a GED, which in Colorado costs $150.
A GED can take years to get, but the adult high school diploma program often takes students just a semester.
Right now, Dwenna's college needs to work with a local school district to issue high school diplomas. A bill making its way through the Colorado legislature would give colleges like hers the ability to issue them on their own, which she says would be more efficient. Many states are trying to improve adult education access. This year, Missouri launched a program where adults can earn their high school degree online for free.
I think that there's sort of this forgotten pocket of students. I think that no matter the age, people should have access to education.
Before this, I'm feeling stuck. Oh, this is my life, this is what I have to do, and like I feel lazy and not do more for me in my education. But one day I say, no, I have to do it. I have to finish.
Not only does Carolina spend hours a day cleaning homes, but she says after her kids go to bed each night, she spends an hour and a half studying. She plans to get her high school diploma in May. I see the graduation gown like up on the wall. Like when you see it and you think about how close you are to that diploma.
Oh my God.
What does it mean to you?
Happy and proud myself too.
She says she'll be one step closer to her dream of becoming a teacher, and an example of why, even when it seems like a hurdle is too big, it's important to find a way through it.
I'm housing reporter Caitlin Knapp. The Pink Shell Resort is trying to come up with another way to house some of its employees. And let's just say it's not going to be on land. That's the story I'm working on for you tonight at 6.
And it was certainly a hot way to end February. We hit a high of 84 in Fort Myers, 93 in Immokalee, also hitting a high of 83 for Naples and Punta Gorda. February going down as one of the hottest and driest on record. We'll talk more about that next.
Entire mountain communities in San Bernardino County, California, snowed in as extreme winter weather lashes the West Coast. This system then forecast to move into the Southwest tomorrow and Thursday, dumping 1 to 2 feet of snow from the Colorado Rockies as far south as Arizona and New Mexico.
This while on the East Coast, widespread heavy snow across the Northeast over the past 24 hours will be winding down as the system pushes through New England tonight. However, over 200,000 homes still remain without power across our nation today. This, while we're seeing the complete opposite here in Southwest Florida. Not any rain for the city of Naples in what is one of the driest February's in decades as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls.
That's right. It's pretty hard to believe. February 28th and not a drop of rain in the rain gauge in Naples. Last time this happened was in 1949, so obviously tied for first place as the driest ever recorded there. Meanwhile, in Fort Myers, we picked up all of 700s in the rain gauge. That makes this month the 5th driest February on record. As for Punta Gorda, we only picked up 1,600s there, also in the top 10. And look at Punta Gorda now, in deficit by more than 4.5 inches, just going back to January 1st. And of course, exceptionally hot temperatures not helping matters. We hit 84 this afternoon in Fort Myers, the average being 80. Likewise, this morning also running 4 degrees above normal. Not quite in record territory, but still exceptionally warm temperatures, not just here, but across the map. 93 for Immokalee, 92 for LaBelle, 84 this afternoon up in Palmdale as well as Clewiston, 83 for Punta Gorda as well as Naples. That's why that drought index continues to get worse. And again, this particular type of drought index, this really gives us a better perspective county by county where we can pinpoint where we have extremely dry soil. The ground is so dry that it is critically dry now. Heading from orange into red, kind of an orangey red color. Not a transition we like to see. This happened yesterday. Critically dry across Hendry into Lee, Glades. Also very dry, and notice Charlotte, DeSoto, and Sarasota counties now drying out significantly. That even following 25 to 26 inches of rainfall from Hurricane Ian 5 months ago. So now all of that rainfall from Hurricane Ian, it has basically evaporated, and we could certainly use a good soaking rain, but keep in mind our dry season tends to run through mid-May. As for those rain probabilities here, looking to the next 5 days, even 7 days, I only have a 20% rain chance in the mix for your Saturday, 10% on Sunday, all associated with the little cold front that will be coming through. That said, temperatures, even behind that front, really staying on the warm side. So notice not much in the way of a front. We'll drop down to 84 on your Sunday, then right back into the upper 80s for your Monday and Tuesday. Bottom line, high pressure is in control of our weather here. That will basically deflect any storm system from getting anywhere close. So even though most of the country dealing with multiple areas of low pressure, we're not going to really be seeing them because we have that protective ridge of high pressure. So heading into tomorrow morning, once again, areas of haze and fog. Other than that, lots of sunshine expected as we look ahead to the afternoon. Offshore winds in the morning, onshore winds for the afternoon. So keep that in mind, especially if you're perhaps heading off to the beach. Otherwise, same story looking ahead to your Thursday. Some areas of patchy haze and fog in the morning. Otherwise, lots of sunshine, toasty temperatures for the afternoon. Let's take a closer look now on your 7-day forecast. Mid to upper 80s as we wrap up the week. Mostly sunny and windy, by the way, for your Friday. Partly cloudy, 20% rain chance for your Saturday.
A new doll honors the life of Madam C.J. Walker, an African-American entrepreneur who's the first female self-made millionaire. Amber Strong looks at the efforts of other toy makers to add diversity, particularly when it comes to hair.
It's the early 1900s, the city, Indianapolis, Indiana.
This entire area was full of Black people, Black business leaders.
Here, Madam C.J. Walker is a household name, a quintessential example of Black excellence, the first female self-made millionaire.
The legacy that she's left for all of us, it is a blueprint for so many of us.
Discovering early on the importance of something that may seem minute.
Here at Walker's former manufacturing plant turned theater, the evidence of her success is everywhere. Walker knew that for Black women in history, hair was about more than the latest style.
A lot of the hair care products were created, including for Madam herself, more as a treatment because they didn't have access to clean water.
So this is Madam Walker's original product. Madam Walker's wonderful hair grower.
Journalist Alilia Bundles says hair has been used as a tool for success. She would know as both a biographer and Walker's great-great-granddaughter.
She knew what these women needed because she had been one of those women. She'd been struggling as a washerwoman. She knew that they wanted to feel good about themselves as black women.
Walker used that empire to employ thousands of black people, support the early efforts of the NAACP, and encourage healthy hair in black women, whether straight or curly. Recently, that pride has reemerged in a peculiar place: toys. Big companies and entrepreneurs filling the market with dolls that embody black features, including hair. From the Madam Walker doll from Mattel.
And I really wanted the hair to have some texture because I wanted little girls to be able to touch that hair and feel themselves.
To the Healthy Roots doll from entrepreneur Yalitza Jean Charles.
Hearing kids say like, oh my God, she looks like me when they're opening the box, best experience ever.
To Karma's World, a doll from rapper and actor Chris Ludacris Bridges, based on the hit Netflix show of the same title.
And it took us years to get these facial features and this fashion with their clothes and all that, like the hair, everything together.
Bridges and head writer Halcyon Person told Scripps News the dolls are a natural extension to the show, which tackles real-life issues in a way kids can handle. Take, for instance, the season 1 episode, Hair Comes Trouble.
It's not really a hat, it's to take care of my curls. A girl's gotta protect her hair. Does every black girl wear one of those? Is that hair harder to comb? What about brushing?
Being able to have teachable moments and teach people, you know, about each other and our similarities and differences is extremely important. Not to chastise someone because you think that they're purposely doing something wrong, but to enlighten them is the best way to say it.
How do you stand up for yourself, stand up for your culture while also being an individual and calling out that you are your own person and that your culture is not a monolith is all things that we talked a lot about in writing this episode.
I do not want another generation of children to not be able to see themselves, to not be able to know the contributions of our ancestors, so that they feel good about themselves, but so that their friends, you know, who may be of another ethnicity, understand their value.
And that will do it for us today. I'm Chris Stewart. Fox 4 News at 6 is next.
We need it just like everybody else.
And now some Harlem Heights residents are finally getting the help they need thanks to volunteers and businesses coming into their neighborhood.
Sunseeker Resort says it's also on track for an opening in October, but not everyone is thrilled about it.
It's going to be problematic for the locals.
What county and resort officials say they still have to figure out about the resort's impact at Port Charlotte.
And the fire chief in Naples accused of having an affair with a department employee. Tonight, what is in the documents obtained by Fox 4 that make these serious allegations about why the chief has now stepped down?
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
A full hour of news and reports for Southwest Florida begins right now on Fox 4. Thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday for Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Chris Earle.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. Today, officially marking 5 months since Hurricane Ian slammed into Southwest Florida, changing life, as we know, for so many of us since.
And these 5 months later, one Southwest Florida neighborhood that Fox 4 spent plenty of time in after Ian is getting some major help for the rebuilding effort.
Yeah, we are talking about the hard-hit Harlem Heights neighborhood, where Fort Myers Mayor today announced, alongside business and community leaders, more help is headed their way.
This is an area where thousands of volunteers have been to help out since the storm for recovery. It's also where we find Fox 4's Brianna Brownlee tonight.
And Bree, what does today's announcement mean for the people living in the Harlem Heights community?
Harlem Heights was an area that was devastated by Hurricane Ian, but they are slowly rebuilding. And today we were able to speak with the homeowner of this home who benefited from rebuilding together.
We could make it through ain't no way you could make it through that storm having 5 feet of water inside the house.
Harlem Heights homeowner Angelo Rivero remembers what it was like when water invaded his home during Hurricane Ian.
Seconds, we had like 4 feet of water inside the house. But I've never been through a worse storm like this here. But it's been so bad, you know what I'm saying?
Luckily, he and his family were able to swim to his friend Juan Vanquez's house to get on a boat. Juan provided these photos of what the Harlem Heights neighborhood looked like during Ian, an area that is home to 300 to 400 kids.
Ian delivered one hell of a punch to our community. And while it knocked us down, it did by no means knock us out.
Still standing exactly 5 months after the storm, Angelo is one of the Harlem Heights residents who got a new roof from the Rebuilding Together organization.
Were you selected to have your house rebuilt?
How I got selected? I don't know. I just came in out of nowhere.
Angelo originally didn't know how this all came about, but on the 5th month mark of Ian, it was announced the Home Depot Foundation and TD Bank collectively donated $300,000 in additional funding for recovery efforts.
This community too. You see what I mean? We need it too. We need it just like everybody else.
Walter Marion has called Harlem Heights home for 16 years and says he can't speak for other organizations, but he is grateful for the volunteers who came in after Ian to help rebuild.
Let me tell you one thing. The volunteer people in this area doing a good job. Every day a crew come down and they gonna walk these streets, find out who need, so they're doing a great job. We're not forgotten. That's right, we're not forgotten. I love these people. The people who help us out, we help them out.
Now, Mayor Kevin Anderson also said during the press conference that he does admire the resiliency from this community, because he says usually communities wait on the government, but sometimes the government does not do a good job. So he is proud to see what this community is doing to rebuild. Live from Harlem Heights, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
They need that help, Bree. Thank you. Now, going from Harlem Heights to Charlotte County tonight, where the construction of a new resort was put on hold after Hurricane Ian.
And today, the president at the Sunseeker Resort gave county commissioners in Charlotte County an update on where the project stands.
Yeah, Fox 4's Elise Chingari listened in on that meeting today.
And Elise joins us live from Charlotte County, just steps from the Sunseeker build. And the resort's opening should have a major impact on that economy.
This morning's meeting was long. It took hours, but I'll tell you this, commissioners during that meeting said how they were pretty impressed at the progress being made here at the resort post-Hurricane Ian because of all of that damage. Now, when we're talking about the amounts of tourism that's expected to come here to Charlotte County, hopefully this should give you a better idea. 35,000 nights are already booked, and this resort here is not even open yet. Construction and more construction. This property opens in October of 2023, and the owners are looking for workers as this will add 1,300 jobs to our area, 1,000 full-time and 300 part-time employees. The perks, the president of Sunseeker Resorts says highly competitive market wages, health benefits, 401ks, and as we know, this is Allegiant Travel Company's first resort, so it was said in Tuesday's county meeting that employees here at the resort will be able to fly for free with Allegiant to anywhere that Allegiant flies. Sean Doherty, the tourism director for Charlotte County, tells me this property will be big for meetings and conventions.
This is actually one of the best things about it for us is that it's really going to open the doors to a whole new market for us.
More than 780 rooms, home to 20 different food and beverage concepts, a 25,000 square foot food hall, 8 retail outlets, multiple pools, golf course access to those staying at the resort.
The Sunseeker Resort, one of the great things about them is they really want to be part of the community. They're not trying to get everybody to be captive just in their resort. They've already started partnering with a lot of our local tourism industry partners so that when the visitor comes in, they have other things to do and they get a better rounded experience of the destinations.
Destinations like Fisherman's Village. Some I spoke with are excited for the new addition, while others are concerned about parking and possible traffic.
Once you get all the tourists in here, and if it's going to be all year round, yeah, it's going to be problematic for the locals.
Again, more than 35,000 nights already booked, and in today's meeting, parking and possible shuttles were brought up. However, it was said that will be discussed in more details at a further date. And when I've been around here throughout the day talking with locals and residents, I do want to answer one of their questions. They asked if a casino would be coming here. That was a concern of theirs. Well, I think they got that idea because some of the partners involved in this are with some big names in Las Vegas, like the Bellagio, Aria, MGM. However, the president of Sunseeker Resort said today in that commissioners meeting that no, a casino will not be coming here. However, possibly in the future, they said maybe some sports betting could be happening in one of the sports bars, but they will address that later on in the future. Live here in Charlotte County, Elise Chingari, Fox 4.
It's going to be big for tourism in Charlotte County. Elise, thank you. Now, Fox 4 is committed to following through for you on the latest in the Hurricane Ian recovery process. Head over to fox4now.com to find those updates where you live right now. Well, in Cape Coral, a man was arrested thanks to employees at a nearby Valvoline oil change, helping police catch that man who they say ended up having a lot of drugs on his person.
After the arrest, officers realized this was the second time this year that Handy Granda had fled arrest. According to police, agents found Granda with Alexa Pierce after someone reported a person passed out in a car by Cornwallis Parkway and Del Prado. And the two told EMS workers that they were just sleeping and then took off in the car. Investigators say an officer pulled them over and arrested Pierce while Granda ran away. Employees at the Valvoline oil change helped to make the arrest after Granda ran right through their shop.
Now, police say the woman who Granda was with was found hiding at a nearby business. They also say they found cocaine and amphetamines on her as well. Granda, they say, was carrying marijuana, cocaine, meth, fentanyl, and more. Both are now facing drug possession and resisting arrest charges. Granda also charged with knowingly driving with a suspended license. And as we mentioned, Fox 4 has reported an almost identical arrest involving Granda back in January, not too long ago. Cape police say then that Granda was pulled over for driving recklessly while also carrying about 60 grams of drug. If you want to read up on that case and the connection to this story, you can head over to fox4now.com.
Fort Myers Beach officials are also responding to the images that we showed you back on Sunday of massive fish kills. A viewer posting pictures on Facebook showing dead fish up and down the beach. Town leaders say that not only are they working to take the dead fish away, that there are more of them showing up along the shore. Environmental managers are working with the DEP to get heavier equipment to remove them. The approval for those equipment machinery is granted. They are in use for today.
And what usually helps these fish kills in the red tide is cooler weather, but we haven't seen any of that in the month of February as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls.
That's right. Strong cold fronts tend to create some more tumultuous conditions, so that helps to break up those blooms. But we haven't seen much in the way of any cold front work its way through Fort Myers or Southwest Florida. They've been few and far between. What we have been seeing a lot lot of right now onshore winds, and it is because of that onshore wind coming directly off of the Gulf of Mexico that we're seeing those fish wash up as well. It also means that if you are heading off to one of our local beaches, you too could feel the effects of red tide. Remember, it's a microalgae. You might not necessarily see it in the water, but we feel its effects. Itchy eyes, maybe some irritation when you breathe. So just pay attention to that. Now notice, tomorrow morning, if you are heading to the beach, it's going to be tomorrow morning. That's the best time frame because we'll have those light offshore winds, generally out of the south and east, but then in the afternoon, that's when they shift and become westerly. So that's when those concentrations will start to pick up, mainly after 1 p.m. tomorrow. That's when we'll start to head into the orange and red levels for coastal Sarasota, as well as coastal Charlotte down to Sanibel, including Lighthouse Beach, and unfortunately also for coastal Collier as well. We'll continue to keep a close eye on that. Also keeping a close eye on worsening drought conditions. We'll dive deeper into how long this pattern could last into the start of March next.
Thanks a lot, Katie. Marco Island Police sent out a tweet asking people there to conserve water. This was earlier today. The agency citing issues at the water protection facility as for the reason why. But now we know crews are making some progress to get the water back online. And here's the image Marco Island Police sent out asking people to hold off doing chores and tasks like laundry, washing dishes, even skipping a shower. The city says its water production system is back online, but it is asking people not to water lawns or wash cars or trucks until tomorrow. Marco Island leaders say it should be back to normal again tomorrow.
And before we go to break, light is shining on Sanibel Island once again, quite literally.
And the Sanibel Lighthouse illuminated for the first time since Hurricane Ian today. Fox 4 was there to see it all. And back lit up. So we all remember the awful sights in the days and weeks after Hurricane Ian. The causeway, of course, closed down from the storm, flooding along periwinkle trees and branches all stretched out across roads and lawns. And we heard reports in the hours after Ian about the damage to the Sanibel Lighthouse.
And it was a moment, though, for us when we saw that Sanibel Lighthouse still standing after Ian. Well, tonight, that other significant sign, Sanibel again, that is healing, shining like a beacon once again. Now, Fox 4 meteorologist Lauren Petrelli did speak with Sanibel's mayor this morning, who says, like the lighthouse, the community is banged up, but still strong. We love to see it.
And housing, whether availability or the cost, still a crisis in Southwest Florida.
And it is not getting much cheaper. After the break, we are looking at the state of rent across Southwest Florida 5 months after Hurricane Ian.
And the housing crisis still top of mind at Fort Myers Beach for leaders with Pink Shell. After the break, we're going to show you an idea that one business had that could help all of Estero Island. On this day, 5 months after Hurricane Ian devastated so much of Fort Myers Beach, workers at one of the key spots for tourism in all of Lee County are starting to get some major help.
Yeah, this help is coming in the form of much needed workforce housing.
The limited housing, it's vital.
Vital housing help at the Pink Shell as leaders are taking the necessary steps to bring that to workers at the resort right there on Estero Boulevard at Fort Myers Beach.
Our Fox 4 housing reporter, Caitlin Knapp, has been tracking the struggle to get people in homes before Ian and, of course, after Ian that made it so much work. And on Fort Myers Beach, talking to the Pink Shell management about the idea that really may help all of the island.
Everybody is just stressed on what there is available.
Stress over finding a place to live in Southwest Florida, but a new plan could help employees at the Pink Shell Resort find a home just feet away from where they work, which General Manager Bill Wachulis says may not be on land.
The boats would be another option besides the condo units.
Boats.
We have 41 slips.
Wachulis wants to use as workforce housing.
Well, the commute would be fantastic.
And for guests.
Definition for liveaboards is anybody that stays over 5 nights.
Right now, the town only allows a max of 4 days, which is why Wachulis is going to council, asking for more as they get closer to reopening.
And we'll obviously start hiring, and some of those will probably need to possibly live on a boat. And it would make it available to the other businesses for their employees.
Workforce housing is not new to the Pink Shell Resort.
Where I'm standing right now is where 2 workforce cottages once stood. Now, as you can see, it's a dirt lot. It's one reason why the resort is trying to come up with another way to house some of its employees.
We had international employees that were living in there that were here on visas.
14 employees, now with no housing. But with this idea closer to becoming a reality, Wachulis says
some of them, I think, are looking into what it would be to buy a boat now. So
a home in paradise. Reporting on Fort Myers Beach, Caitlin Knapp, Fox 4.
And now in depth to talk about the state of rents after Hurricane Ian.
And rent's due tomorrow, 5 months later, and a lot of people are still looking for a place to even live. And these are the prices they are facing. Take a look at this. Rent.com keeping up with rent averages in the metro areas here in Southwest Florida. If you look at what the rent is averaging in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, and Naples, on the left is the price for a 1-bedroom apartment. The right is for 2-bedroom units. So take a look here. A 2-bedroom unit in Cape Coral going for about $1,800 a month. While in Naples, it's by far the most expensive there, over $2,800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment.
And in Cape Coral, not every unit available is affordable for many people. Here's the percentage of available units reported by Rent.com. 1% of Cape Coral units that are available are below $1,500 a month. 89% of them, so nearly 9 out of 10 of all units, more than 2,100.
So let's go ahead and take a look at 1-bedroom units across smaller communities in our area. In Punta Gorda, over $2,100 for a 1-bedroom unit. For context here, a 1-bedroom unit in Fort Myers is over $1,800 a month.
Well, of course, families need more space. So for those looking for 2-bedroom units, steeper prices, of course. Bonita Springs, nearly $2,700. Estero units are nearly as much, about $2,500. And in Fort Myers, Rent.com says a 2-bedroom unit in Fort Myers is about $2,000 per month on average.
And even some of these are lower than what we can see just on Zillow right now. And Fox 4 is always watching out for you and the cost of housing here in Southwest Florida, looking for solutions to our housing crisis, taking those questions to city, county, and state leaders. To follow our housing coverage, head over to fox4now.com.
And now as we take a look outside from the Tarpon Lodge at Bokeelia, and as we're in these final hours here for February, only 28 days, not a lot of rain, but a whole lot of sweat for people who are outside this month.
Yes, absolutely. It has been gorgeous, clear skies like this, but as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls, that is the concern. One of the driest Februaries in decades, Katie.
That's right, and also one of the hottest as well. So we are seeing exceptionally hot temperatures. Remember last week we hit our first 90-degree day of the year. That typically doesn't happen until mid-April. Live look, as we just saw, it's going to be a really pretty sunset right around at 6:28, so we have that to look forward to. But looking back at our rainfall, I put this together and compared it to all the data going back to the 1890s in Fort Myers. We received all of 700s in the rain gauge, making it the 5th driest February on record in Fort Myers. Meanwhile, for Naples, 0. We received no rain whatsoever, not even a trace in the rain gauge for Naples. The last time this happened was in 1949, and before that, 1948. So 1948, 1949, and 2023. And then for Punta Gorda, only 1,600s in the rain gauge, making it the 7th driest on record there. And then as for those temperatures, this is how above average we were for the month. In Fort Myers, we were more than 6 degrees above normal, making it the second hottest February on record back to 1892. Naples also greater than 6 degrees above normal, third hottest on record back to the 40s. Likewise, Punta Gorda following that trend, more than 5 degrees above average, making it the 5th hottest February on record. So regardless of how you slice it, it's been extremely dry and extremely hot for this month. 26 of 28 days running above normal across Fort Myers. Now, turning to our next rain chance, could see a passing sprinkle on Saturday as a little cold front comes through, but even that, not that drought-busting rain that we really truly need, which means our drought index here will likely be getting worse. And this particular type of drought index, if you haven't seen it before, it specifically measures the amount of soil moisture, the amount of moisture in the top 8 inches of the ground. That tends to be this section that burns during wildfires. Now, critically dry across Collier County, Hendry and Tilley getting worse. Glades in the yellow at very dry. Likewise, Charlotte, DeSoto, and Sarasota counties now drying out as well. Of course, these temperatures not helping the evaporation process. We'll continue to see the mid to upper 80s as we head through our 7-day forecast. And looking ahead to the weekend, that little front that could bring us a 20% rain chance on Saturday will drop our temperature all the way to 84. That's it. All right, so we'll continue to see exceptionally warm weather and a good cold front, a real cold front, just not in the cards anytime soon. We have this strong ridge of high pressure basically deflecting any storm system from getting anywhere close with any amount of momentum. So as we head into tomorrow morning, some areas of patchy haze and fog. Otherwise, another muggy start running in the 60s. Looking ahead to the afternoon, lots of sunshine on the way as we once again head into the mid and upper 80s. So for tomorrow, calling for a high around 86, 87 for your Thursday. Over the weekend again, could see a passing sprinkle as that little front comes through. Otherwise, your temperatures continuing to run well above average into next week.